Woo! Oh. Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo. Today we're going to see if we can make big power out of these dirt cheap industrial LS engines that I picked up because my Corvette really needs that to happen. So my C5 track car died a horrible death before we even got to do anything with it or burn even one single Falcon tire to the ground. It's not anybody's fault. It's kind of everybody's fault. We overheated it real bad on the test drive. This sweet carbureted LS1 we had going. We ran way too much ignition timing in this thing, and we rattled the bottom end of the motor. So right now I like to take a moment and think about that one good time we had. Woo, boy, this thing turns. Okay, that's enough. Let's move on. I want to get this sucker on track, and this is the way I'm going to try and do it. This is a PSI Industries LS industrial engine that came out of an Isuzu Box truck, and we're going to see what it is. It's a 6-liter motor. It was rated at 174 horsepower, but what I'm looking at here, I think, is a lot of potential for the $375 I paid for this thing. Let's dig in. All right, we're out back. We need an engine stand, and they're all currently holding up blown up engines. If you need a 5.3 builder, this one's got decent bores still and a pretty solid rod knock. But if you want it, email michael@tangeloracing.com, and if you bring us a pizza, it's yours. We are outside of Philadelphia, about an hour northwest. All right, me and Stone are going to try to physically lift this thing up and then put this at its final resting place. How are you thinking?
Well, we're gonna drop.
Why don't you go around that way? Yeah, you go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Okay. There it goes. We got it.
Beauty.
It's on the ground.
Now what? It's pretty heavy.
Pretty heavy. It's not making it through this dirt.
I have an idea.
What's that, Barb? You hold the camera and watch us? Oh, he's gonna push it with his foot. Go ahead.
You just want a flipper.
Move your feet. Oh, God.
Watch your faces.
There you go. That's for whoever gets this motor next. You're welcome.
Comes with the leaves.
Oh, this has had low oil pressure. It actually ran, remember?
It's a good motor.
It's a good motor, says Barb.
Don't email me for this because you're not going to get it.
Email Barb. This is email him to say hi. Hey, Barb, how are you?
Hey, guys. All right.
Yeah, it had bad cam bearings, low oil pressure. The bores don't look great, but they'll clean up. All right. We'll see you on the other side. Let's get it ready. Oh. This is hard work. Whew! That is hard work. I need a drink, and that is the perfect time to tell you about today's sponsor, Element. It is an electrolyte drink mix with 0 sugar. It has everything you need and nothing you don't. So we jam hard in this shop, as you know, and especially in the summer, you really got to stay on top of hydration. If you're dehydrated, you get brain fog, weakness, fatigue. We don't have time for any of that stuff. A lot of stuff you're going to see at the convenience store is packed full of sugar, and you just don't need that. It's not good for you, and we're, believe it or not, trying to watch what we're putting in our bodies. So it's super simple. Just drop a stick into a bottle of water, give it a good shake, and every stick delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes, and it's free of sugar and weird colors and all sorts of other dodgy ingredients. Element comes in hot and cold drinks. There's chocolate chai, raspberry chocolate, grapefruit. My favorite is the mango chili. It's actually killer. They actually said that about 30% of NFL players are drinking this stuff out of green and orange bottles, if you know what I mean, which is insane. This stuff is really catching on. We have added it to our daily intake, and we just feel a ton better. No cramps, no issues. And if you want to try it out, there's a really cool offer going on right now. Go to drinkelement.com/staytuned, and with any purchase, you will get an entire free sample pack, which is killer. And if you don't like it for whatever reason, they'll give you your money back, and you just find some of your salty friends, give it to them, and they'll drink it up. All right, let's get after it. So we are going to throw this motor up on the table and see if we can figure out exactly what we're looking at here. Since we've blown up 35 motors in the last couple of months, we are out of engine stands and hoping that this old industrial table we've got will hold up this random industrial engine.
Oh, I see. I like what you did there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Take these off.
Sure.
We don't need these sexy things anymore. Those are look.
It's not, I don't think that's something I would call sexy, but I like it. That you do. That you like it. The heart wants what the heart wants. Big old hunk of bent up steel. So as soon as that engine blew up, I started scouring Marketplace, see what I could find, and I found this weird listing for 2 industrial LS 6-liter motors that came out of Isuzu Box trucks that were more or less just found for scrap, and this guy was unloading 2 of them for $750 for both of them. He said he had 921 heads on them. We weren't sure what they were. He's like, just come and get them out of my shop. I'm not using them. They came with intake manifolds. They came with coil packs, enough coil packs for 5 motors. And we're going to dig into them and see what we can really find out about them. So I went on the PSI website, and it said that their 6-liter V8, there's only one, is rated at 174 horsepower, 315 pound-feet of torque, which is nothing for an aluminum head LS motor. These things make 350 horsepower or nothing. So I don't really know how they were rated like that. They were rated at 2,900 RPM, but I believe with the right cam in here, and we figure out what heads these are and what kind of compression we're rocking, these things are going to be just as good as any regular motor. And again, I paid $375 for this whole long block. So we're going to see what's what. So these are marked L96. L96 would have come with, Barb, what heads?
823s.
And?
364.
And this is a?
821.
821. 821s came on LS3s.
Corvettes and Camaros.
Only.
Yeah.
So are these better? Is it gnarlier? They have sodium-filled valves, I believe, which maybe they spec'd out as like, oh, these will stay cool under extreme duress of being like firing a box truck.
Too.
Yeah, like just dragging delivery stuff around. So I want to dig into this valve cover and see what's what, and just try to do a little detective work to see how they made such little power and how we can, whatever they did, get rid of it and make a whole bunch of horsepower. All right, so everything looks brand new so far.
They are offset rockers.
They're offset rockers because the ports are gigantic on this thing. So we will have to use these. We can put trunnion upgrades on them ourselves, which is totally fine. Let's pull the valley cover.
13, right?
Yeah, you going?
There it is.
Okay.
Got it.
Give it a lift. Toss it to the side. All right, so a couple different ways they could have limited the power down to 175 would be to run a really small cam setup with no lift and no duration, or because they did rate it at 2,900 RPM, they could have put a rev limit on it that's like, I don't know, 3,000, 3,500 RPM. I don't know how they were tuned. All right, so another way that they could limit power would be to put like a small valve in the head. Barb says there's no chance.
There's no way that they cast another head with the same casting number on it with a smaller valve.
I kind of tend to agree. They made like 40 different heads or whatever. And
it's not a huge, like the valve seat is not like a ton of machining in there. Like,
yeah,
they keep them pretty.
I would be surprised. We're talking about not pulling these heads. This motor is VVTi, but it doesn't have DOD. So theoretically, we can yank this cam out, push the lifters up, yank the cam out, and just slide the new one in.
Put a big sucker in.
And just go quick. We're trying to do this quick and dirty and cheap without pulling the heads off. So I think what we should do now is throw the bore scope in. Let's look at some bores and see if we can turn that thing around in there. Is there any possibility? And look at the valves.
Oh, like face up?
Yeah.
You can try it, yeah.
All right, let's try it.
Are you gonna use your eye caliper to see how big they are?
No, but I think you should be able to see in the space. If
Yeah.
they're taking out, if two valves go all the way across the 4-inch bore, then I can do the math there. 2.2 plus 1.6 is pretty big.
Most of the space.
That's like all the space.
Big guy.
That's
big
all the
valves,
space, man.
Things.
How's that cylinder wall look?
Pretty all right.
Pretty all right, he says.
Little carbon build up.
That's fine. We'll blow that right out. A little Italian tune-up. Take care of that. No problem.
I was just gonna say that.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Big valve.
I mean, it looks like a giant valve, doesn't it?
It's a big valve. Look at the size of that monster.
That thing is hefty.
Big valve.
Jeez Louise.
You
All
know,
right,
and this is a sended situation here.
this is a big old valve. I'd love to, you got a piece of wire hanger?
Yeah.
We're gonna do some science here. So I think if we come like this,
You gonna loop it around the thing and bend it?
I was gonna bend it so that it kind of bends out and we can get an idea of how far apart the tips are.
Let me get a light.
That's nice.
Watch
Good
your
idea.
back.
Doing here. Okay, so you see how far apart these are? They're basically just touching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like this in there. So how big
Big.
is that?
165.
Go ahead, measure it. My guess is that's 2 inches. And that's the back cut of the valve? That's not even where this thing is in business. Yeah.
223.
Pretty close.
Big valve.
All right, so that's got to be that giant valve. So these are monster valve heads with giant ports on a very tiny camshaft.
Look
Probably
in
run
the,
at very low RPM.
Look in the valley and just look how tiny the lobes are visually.
This looks like a stick.
Yeah.
It basically
I
just
took a
looks
dowel
like
in
a stick.
there.
Like a stick.
Yeah.
All right, so I feel like at this point, we basically know the compression is the same. Even on the website, it's listed as 9.6. An L96 should be 9.6. They didn't name them that because of that, but that's just what it is. It's not an L9.6, but an L96 motor that we have here is 9.6 compression from GM. It's 9.6 compression from PSI. There's giant valves in these heads. There's giant ports in these heads. And the camshaft is just tiny, and they probably ran them to 3,500 RPM. They rated them at 174 horsepower because they're barely opening the valves. I think we go through this thing, put a big, nasty hog cam in this thing, new oil pump, go through the bearings, make sure everything looks good, and send this thing, and we're gonna be making power in no time.
I can't wait.
I feel very good about it. Motor looks fantastic inside. So we put out a short video yesterday on the story of exploding the Corvette and finding these industrial PSI motors. And we got quite a few messages with guys with some experience with these bad boys, and it was pretty cool to see. Things that they said, hey, watch out, they might have put a cathedral port manifold on a square port head just to,
Yeah.
because that's what they had laying around. Another thing these guys said about the PSI motors is that a lot of them went down for low oil pressure. There's an oil pump issue, check the bearings, put a new pump on it. Cool. Someone else said something similar but expanded on it. They said they used 2002 Camaro pans and they used the Camaro pickups, but they used the wrong O-ring, which is a LS thingy. There's a thin and a thick O-ring and has to correspond to your pickup style, the tube on there. So check the same thing, kind of check the bearings and make sure that they look decent and put a new pump on it. So I have a set of bearings coming today overnight, and we already plan on putting an oil pump on it. So we're gonna go through it and see, but honestly, it looks fantastic in here. Look at that thing. You know how the LS3 has the, sodium-filled valves? Come look at the top of these valves. Look at the color shading on them.
Mm-hmm. Intake valves only, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay.
Look at the shape of them.
If this doesn't further solidify the fact,
These are just LS3 heads.
let me
Which is
tell
crazy
you.
because these motors, $375 for each motor, $750 a piece. I looked up LS3 heads. They're like $600 for a decent set of heads. So this was a screaming deal.
If we take one of those caps off and those bearings don't look brand new,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry myself to sleep tonight.
I got a feeling once my dad sees this, he's out of town right now. He may not want to put that 5.3 in his Camaro anymore. He may be looking for one of these iron 6.0s. We'll see.
Go team.
All right, so I'm just putting a couple of flywheel bolts in the crank so I can hold this puppy from moving while Barb yanks that balancer off.
Here.
Corvettes use the tightest accessory drive. It's like truck, from the motor, truck, Camaro, passenger car, Corvette.
We're using Corvettes because they're the best.
No chance this is going to work. All right, give it a spin.
Right? Got it.
There you go. All right, so you have your cam sensor and your phaser connector here. Take that puppy off, we'll be all right.
Doesn't phase me. Does it phase you?
Not for long. All right, so the factory LS motor has a needle bearing on the rocker, and when these go bad, they put a bunch of like tiny needles in your oiling system. That's a train wreck. So we're gonna upgrade it to this BTR trunnion upgrade system that we have. It's still needle bearings, but they're captured. The sort of race goes all the way around and will hold them in place no matter what. So Stone is gonna start knocking these on. You just press them out, press them in, and then we should be good to go.
So I'm putting the trunnions back together. The important thing to know is don't completely smush them so that they still have some play. And when you're doing it, it's really hard to see, but you gotta make sure there's tiny little letters on the outside because that side's just a little bit flatter. But eventually you wind up with something like this. Good stuff. Rev it to the moon.
Smooth. Real smooth.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. The plan with this motor is like extra quick, fast, and dirty, and cheap, stay tuned style, but like turned up to 11. So we're not trying to take the heads off, do head gaskets, replace those. We're not, you know, we think the lifters are probably fine. Everything looks great in here so far. So we're just going to do this LS trick where you spin this, spin the camshaft, the lifters stay up in their trays. We're going to pull the cam out, stick a couple dowels in to keep the lifters up in place, and then put our new camshaft in and just let everything ride. I believe that the trays are fine, the lifters are fine. Everything in here looks brand new, so we're just gonna run it. We're not taking the heads off, we're not doing new head gaskets. We don't have to, and we wanna get this thing back in the car today. So we're rocking and rolling. I'll give it one last spin here before we yank this little baby camshaft out. Okay, one last spin of the camshaft. And then this is just part of the oiling system, but
All the way down?
I'm gonna check.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, again, just to make sure the lifters haven't fallen.
That spins so nicely.
It spins incredibly well.
This is one of those don't look at the cam bearing ones. I think we're safe to say that that's...
We're there, right? Yeah, we're there. Okay, good. Same thing here.
Yeah.
Dowels look good. They're all the way in. And start taking out. This little bit of cam. And we'll look, and if any of the cam lobes are chewed up, then we will pull the heads off and try to find some good used rockers laying around. We're just trying to get this thing together with stuff we have in the parts room. All right, there she is. All right, so I pulled the camshaft that came in the PSI 6-liter out of that thing, and I started looking up all the numbers that are on the end of the camshaft, and there is a number 6660. I looked that up plus camshaft. It comes back to a factory L96 camshaft that is GM part number 12626660, and it's actually not as small as we thought. I don't know if those lifters weren't pumped up at all and we were getting really, really light readings, but this should be 467 lift, 479 lift with a super low duration, 196-208. And I just went through and I measured with a caliper as accurately as I could the base circle and subtracted that from the max lift, and we multiplied that number by 1.7 because that's the rocker ratio and that's how they rate a camshaft, and it came out to 0.479, which is exactly what this camshaft should be. So I'm going to say pretty definitively we've got just a factory L96 truck cam in here. The rating still, I think, is from just running it super low RPM and then kind of rating it like that. So I think we've got ourselves basically an L96 truck motor here that they decided to put real LS3 heads onto. It's a pretty wicked combination. So there's going to be some power blasting out of this thing soon enough. And the more we get into it, the more everything looks fantastic. Cam bearings look great. I'm not seeing any bronze in there. We're going to flip it over now and see what it looks like underneath. I'm going to pull a cap or two and just see what we're dealing with. All right, we've got this puppy turned over. Still looking brand new in here. This is working towards the best $750 I've ever spent. All right, so I pulled this off. This thing looks spectacular inside. You know, there's no play up and down on the rod bearings. There's a little bit of side play. You're going to want a few thou. That seems in the ballpark. I'm going to pull a cap off. We're going to look at it and see what it's like. And we're going to dig into the oil pump and see what that looks like too. The internet blows me away, man. Number one, so many people knew about these engines, which is super cool. And then a few guys had real experience with them. To the fact where one guy said, hey, they made a mistake with the pickup they used. Check that, see what's good, check the bearings. So we're going to do it. That looks real good. Fingernail test. I mean, it's just, you can barely see any wear on it. It looks pretty fantastic. All right, we're gonna put this sucker back in. I put some assembly lube on there. We'll probably pre-lube this engine because it's been sitting a while, and we're putting a new oil pump in it. I'm gonna torque these suckers back down. These are probably torque to yield bolts. You're supposed to use once, but I won't tell anybody if you don't. I'm gonna go buy 2 bolts for this, come on. All right, so this is the Corvette oil pickup tube. It's already been through our Eastwood ultrasonic cleaner once, and I'm just going through and grabbing any little bits out of the screen I can find, and I'll probably hit it with the garden hose both ways and try to blast everything out of the screen I can. You can see I'm picking up a little bit of bearing material here. It's really tough because the slot is small here, and you really need everything absolutely out of this thing. So I'm on it like a scientist. I'm trying to make sure I get every little bit of junk, and it gets stuck in the screen itself, but we're gonna get it just right. Most of the big chunks are already out of there. There's something purple here. Get whatever that is.
I left that in there for you.
Okay, I've got the pickup tube super cleaned out. Just flush it with air, and the garden hose both ways. Picked every little piece out. Actually looks fantastic. Now it's time to upgrade the bump stick in this thing. And if you haven't noticed, this is just stuff basically we have laying around. This is my Summit Stage 3 camshaft. It is 232, 242 duration at 50. And it is 600 lift with a 113 base circle and 3 degrees of advance built into this puppy. So I'm going to slam it home. I think this was in the 5.3 that we just dumped in the backyard. And a very liberal coat of, I'm going to get some more lube. Hold on. I'm going to use a Molly paste lube. That's the assembly lube for this sucker. Make sure it gets everywhere. And put this bump stick where it belongs, in that 6-liter. Strange, like, you know, I thought when this thing popped, I was bummed. I really want to get this car on track. I want to get back to driving race cars on racetracks. And I could not have been more bummed about this thing going south. But I think we're going to have maybe an even better package here, which feels pretty good. Cool. So yeah, it's always darkest before the 6-liter comes in or something. There's a hallmark thing in there somewhere. I am installing this with the motor upside down, so the lifters definitely aren't going to fall and make a mess of this thing. That's all she wrote.
Out there.
Old torque dude. We don't really have the tool for this, right? Well, here's a trick. I'm using my old timing gear for the crank to zip on my new timing gear for the crank with the factory bolt. Crushed it. So now we're gonna just go dot to dot. I got the cam basically where I think I want it to be. Yeah, it all looks very good. These bolts will pull the cam forward, and then we'll use that plate I just put in as sort of a thrust plate. So it keeps the cam from going forward and back. There's actually no button or anything else that comes in physical contact with the cam. It rides sandwiched between the gear and the camshaft itself. It's actually a pretty trick little setup compared to all the old cam buttons people have to use for rollers or stuff like that. Or hope the chain would keep it in line. All right, I've got the chain on. Timing set is in there. I found this Gen 4 guide we weren't able to use before. I'm gonna snug this thing in. It just keeps the chain slack to a minimum. And since we'll be bonking this sucker off the rev limiter, I don't know, 6,000 to 7,000 times, nice to have that in there. Chain won't be jumping all around.
7,000 times per minute.
Yeah, all the time. If that wasn't clear, this thing's gonna bring a lunch and a pillow and a blanket to the rev limiter because it's gonna get real comfortable up there. Dot to dot, baby. Perfect.
Hey. Now what?
Slam the timing cover on. We'll put the oil pump on, timing cover, flip it over, oil pickup, oil pump, pre-lube this sucker. Then we got to do valve springs, new push rods, intake, throw it in the car. All right, one last look at the old oil pump just to tell you how good this thing is and kind of make sure we can all sleep at night, not really replacing those bearings. There would be evidence on here of any particles that went through this thing, and it looks fantastic. It's in pretty dang good shape. So we're gonna put a new oil pump on it anyway, but just to show you, like, this motor has been pretty healthy. As long as it's been used, it's been pretty good. There's not a lot of scoring. There's not a big gap in this thing. She is ready to rock. Right. Cool. Okay, so to run this gnarly Stage 3 Summit cam, I need a better valve spring. The stock ones just aren't going to cut it. So I've got the 26918. It's a beehive spring, single spring from Comp Cams. It'll do a 625 lift, so there's a little bit of a safety area there. The retainers, I'm running 787s. It's the same thing. These are made to work right with the beehive springs. You can't run a regular retainer here because the top of the spring is so small. And then just a standard 7-degree lock. These are all of its Comp Cam stuff. These are 610s. More or less, I'm going to pump compressed air into each cylinder. Use this sweet Comp Cam's LS specific tool that Barb has. It goes right into the rocker rail and bolts down. They make tools for modern Hemis. These are great if you want to do this in a car because see how small and compact this package is? You're never going to change a valve spring in a car with some giant, crazy crank arm. Then there's just this fork. It's going to go down over the top of the old style retainers. I'm not going to push them down until I get some compressed air into the cylinder.
What, are you wrestling a snake there?
Oh yeah, this is like Temple of Doom stuff right here. All right, I've got 90 or so PSI in my compressor. I stole the hose from my leak down tester. It's probably going to spin the motor. Some people say you should put it top dead center. I just let it spin. Keep my hands out of the way. Now there is a ton of pressure in the cylinder. I can crank this down, quick remove them. So as I crank this down, I can now snatch out the keepers and we'll be rocking and rolling. I've got a supercharged magnet screwdriver. Grab these suckers. That's it. And these springs are free. The reason we're running all that compressed air in the cylinder is we don't want to drop the valves in there. I'm going to back this off. Springs are now loosey-goosey. Can do whatever they want. I think I can leave that right on there, yeah. So old springs are coming off. If you wanted to get nuts right now, you could do new valve seals. Those look, yeah, close enough. New springs, new retainers going in. Now I'm going to spin this down. Try to keep everything centered. A little bit of wiggle. And toss the keepers on and let it go. Cool, I do a little dab of grease on the inside of the keepers. That'll kind of keep them in place while I raise everything up. Okay. Same thing here, a little dab of grease. Yep. She's fighting me, hold on. Look at this one, that one's cool. So the retainers I have and the keepers I have don't want to work together. So I'm going to run those springs I told you about in, I believe, looks like because the comp spring is so similar in design to the factory, I should be able to just use the factory retainer and keeper, which I'm trying now. And since this is stay tuned, we're going to try to get this done immediately because we're trying to be at the dyno tomorrow with this hog. There you go. Stock retainer, stock keeper, 600 lift, comp springs. I think it's going to work. Okay, that's how we're going to rock with this thing. I'm going to go do 7 more and we'll do it in fast motion. Here we go. Blurf. All right, I've got all the upgraded comp cams, valve springs in the motor now. We're running the stock retainer, we're running the stock keepers. I think it's going to work fine. I don't see why I wouldn't. There's a little bit of play in the retainer to the top of the valve spring. I think it's going to be just A-okay. Barb is here. He is going to throw the other header on and start putting those rockers back in with these 7/400 push rods that we have. And we'll be very close to getting this thing back in the car. As always, this is Stay Tuned. We are taking this thing to the dyno tomorrow night. And then if you don't, I don't know if you noticed, we're putting an engine in a Corvette. It goes in the hard way.
In the bottom way.
It goes in the hard way. We're going to figure it out.
It might be the easy way.
I don't know. Rockers are back on with the push rods out of the LS1. We are going to pre-lube this thing, circulate a bunch of oil because I don't know how long it's been sitting, probably a year, maybe more, who knows. Obviously looks very good inside. We don't want to risk that it gets all ground up and worn down on dry starting. So Barb's going to pump it up with our little lawn sprayer and just pump as much oil as you can through this motor.
I'm gonna put a little more in there.
Yeah, I think you should do more.
You gonna measure it?
Look on the side of the thing.
Is there a measurement on the side of the thing?
I don't know, hopefully.
Oh my God. Killing me.
This is a great way on a modern motor where you can't pull out the distributor and spin it. Get yourself a lawn sprayer and a couple of fittings and find a port to blast it in. Do your best to find an oiling port. That's important.
Yeah, when I pulled the plug out, oil came out, so I know I got the right one. That thing's open?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. All right.
It's going somewhere.
That's what the last LS1 said to us.
Yeah.
Too soon?
Yeah, that's affirmative. Yeah.
Okay.
Look at this motor we got together here. Look at this $375 wonder.
It's real good.
Comes into this world making 175 horsepower. It's going to go out making a whole lot more than that.
It's not going out anywhere.
You know,
It's staying
later,
in.
later.
Later.
All right, so my beater 6-liter heater
Oh!
is,
That's why he was in the bathroom so long.
I was like, what should I? Is getting ready to go into that front subframe. I'll put the clutch and flywheel on it. Barb's gonna slap on the accessory drive. It's about 10 p.m. Wednesday night. And we're trying to get this sucker in a dyno tuned tomorrow night. So we've got to get it in the car and running with a new fuel injection system. So it's going to take a minute. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the bolts.
So I am installing my Mantic USA twin plate clutch and flywheel system. It's got these posts that are the blocks, that are kind of the fingers for the clutch and the pressure plate. So there's friction plates, there's steel iron plates, and then the pressure plate on the end. It's just a big sandwich. I love a good sandwich. All right, those are just 8th gunned on. I'll hit them with some real torque, and we'll keep on rocking. So there's usually an alignment mark, just this big marker on the iron plates and the pressure plate on a twin plate. Obviously the discs can spin, so there's nothing to have to worry about where they're lined up. And we didn't take this off, so they're all still in the same orientation.
Yep.
I got something.
This has got to come.
All right, so there's really only one intake manifold you can use to put a square port motor under the hood of a Corvette. And that is a real LS3 manifold. Barb happened to have one laying around.
Hey.
There it is. Toss it on.
Ready for this? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That looks.
You hear the sound? It's like, yeah. And we're going to run this giant 105 mil Holley cable, drive-by cable throttle body because we put a cable pedal in this thing. We might as well keep it simple.
That looks good. Big throttle body, good.
Yeah, serious.
Nice intake, good. Vroom vrooms, good. Just clears too.
Nice. Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
Sick.
All right, ready 1 second to appreciate it. All right, let's put it in the car.
Hey, do you guys remember Monday when this car was complete?
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
still pretty funny. All right,
Still funny the second
funny second time. It's time to send it home. We don't have the intake bolts. Don't email me. We know. We'll get them in the morning.
You don't get the emails, it's me.
That's fine. Email Barb about it. He's ready for them. All right. So when you're doing this on a Corvette, and if you happen to have it, if you're lucky enough to have a lift, You just got to make sure that everything is the exact right height to slide this puppy in. Come on.
You ready?
It's right in the ballpark, boy. Ooh, a little slower.
You want
on
a
in.
floor jack under that?
Come on. No. Yeah, just keep pushing. It's going. That's it, man. It's done. Boom. Done.
It's in?
Done.
Dang. This Corvette stuff's really getting pretty easy.
Oh, yeah. We got her figured out. Look at that.
tube
Look at
bolts.
this arsenal. Look at this
It's pretty
absolute
good.
weapon.
What's my favorite part of this is the seat with the stacked up wood.
No.
That's the torque tube cart.
Yeah. We are converting our fuel system from carburetor basically back to fuel injection. We were talking about running a return system, but we're just going to run it factory Corvette style. So regulator / filters going in here. I can't get on there with this. Did that work?
In there?
In, but I don't know if I have to click. Yeah,
There it is.
that's it. Good deal. All right. Let's put it back up and in.
Hey!
You can do it. And I know you used to make 175 horsepower, but I'm gonna need.
You're gonna have to
I'm
work
gonna need
a
like
little
3 more
harder.
of those. Triple that.
Yep.
All right. We are going to now need all hands on deck. Wiggle everything into place and put the power plant back up in the Corvette. The new 6.0.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Hit it, baby.
Nice and slow, a lot of eyeballs. Don't be afraid to yell. Coming down. Here we go. All right, the Corvette has the motor, transmission, 6 liters in there, ready to rock. It's back up in the car. We've got a lot to do tomorrow, but that feels really good, and we are gonna hit the road. Barb is still working.
That's work ethic.
Oh, sway Barb.
Sway Barb.
All right, it is a whole new morning here at Stay Tuned. I'm cooking up some breakfast. We've got some ham, scrambling some eggs, some cheese. We're gonna make some sandwiches. Sona's gonna start we absolutely cranked last night. Right about midnight, that motor went back into the car. The whole drivetrain of the Corvette is up and in with the subframes bolted in. Stone's gonna start slapping the suspension back together. It's just basically bolting it back into the chassis, connecting the brake lines and small stuff. I'm gonna make sure that we are fed and we're gonna keep on rocking because we're gonna get this thing dyno tuned, hopefully, tonight.
So the C5 exhaust flanges are not a typical triangular pattern. They are,
Yeah.
what might you say that is?
They took some artistic liberty with that
Yeah.
triangle right there. My
This
kids
is
do
not
that
a
sometimes
triangle.
too, and I have to go, great job.
I think they do better than this even.
Yeah,
This
they-
is
they're
not
pretty good.
good. They're like, how can we make this more difficult for everybody else?
Yeah, it's a wonky, weird shape, and there are no flat gaskets to be gotten. It's like a ball and socket, I think.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very interesting arrangement.
Yeah, so Barb is gonna make custom gaskets because last time that leaked like a sieve. So we made those flanges, now we're gonna make the gaskets. While he's doing that, I'm gonna get this hot, listen, remember when we had a carbureted C5? That was cool, right? Ish?
Yeah,
I loved it. But we are bailing out. We are going full on proper fuel injection. I've got that LS3 manifold. That's going to go on there with the factory 42-pound injectors and a giant Holley 105 mil throttle body. And we're going to run it on a Holley Terminator X cable, pedal. Should be a pretty cool little setup. So I'm going to start installing the Holley harness. And this thing's going back to fuel injection because we want to see this thing on track. I want to be throwing it around, you know, on a road course, and want to make sure it's not stumbly. Even the couple of minutes I spent just doing donuts and whipping that thing on the handbrake, it kept stalling and stumbling with the carburetor. So I think this is the way to go, and we're gonna get this thing in there and rocking. And today, it's noon, it's lunchtime now. The goal is to get it tuned in Allentown, which is like an hour and a half from here, an hour from here, by the Slavic Mechanics guys, who are LS legends in their own right, for sure.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm gonna start doing this. You keep doing.
Did you know
arts
that
and crafts.
EFI is more tunable than carburetors? Have you ever heard that before?
Debatable, I guess.
We know.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. You do that, I'll do this.
Yeah, so obviously drilling through like, I think it's 40 thousandths copper is not something you can do without some sort of a jig. So I figured out center, actually Tony figured out center, and then made a board that has a hole in it with the same size hole saw so that it'll keep the hole saw centered. And we're gonna drill the center out.
Say center again. Everybody take a shot when Barb says center.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Found the center.
I found the Holley kit that has all of the hardware and gaskets and proper bolts for this thing. So I'm gonna put this throttle body back on, the 105 mil cable throttle body back on. I'm gonna install the IAC, that's intake air controller, and the TPS, that is throttle position sensor, and then that'll be all the abbreviations we need to get this thing running.
Sweet. I'm just trying to get this oil cooler in here. We flushed it out like 1,000 times to make sure there was nothing in it. So it's good and clean. We had to take that block heater out we were talking about because that's right up in our way. So it's been fighting us for a little bit, but we're almost done. Just about ready to fire this baby up.
Yeah, after I wire up the whole computer.
After we spent...
Slow down a little bit.
Almost ready for liquids, at least.
All right, I am gonna now lower into place the very tight-fitting LS3 manifold. Stone has got the oil cooler back in business. When I say this puppy barely fits, it barely fits. There's not enough room to lift the bolts out and slide it back. It's a tight fit. We're gonna get in there, but I've got the Holley 105 throttle body on there, Holley map sensor, injectors are all wired up. I'm just gonna run a little AN line to connect the fuel. Barb and Stone are gonna bleed the brakes. We should have a fire up pretty soon.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Man, heck yeah.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell me what this is gonna sound like? Can you fire it up?
It'll probably be like, you turn the key and it'll be like, grrr, kick, 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 and it'll go, blorp, 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 bing, boom. Boy. Cool. All right, we have been blazing here all day. We are pretty close. I am whooped. It's been a long few days. Yesterday, this thing was a stock engine. Now it's all cammed up, valve springs, quick and dirty built, and back in the Corvette. I'm wiring up the Holley. Barb is actually going to run the carburetor style Holley dash with the external sensors, so we're going to run kind of two of everything. Just so we don't have to get into the dash and redo it, but we do want to have, you know, gauges, I think they call them.
It's got speed on GPS, speedo.
Yeah, it's going to have everything. So that's good. I'm probably 20 minutes away from about firing this thing up, which feels really good. Barb's going to make a throttle cable bracket. Maybe we'll do an intake, fill it all up, and we're going to get this thing right to the dyno. I'm very excited. I am.
Let's go.
It's like 5:30 on the Thursday, and we're going. I'm excited because we're going to find out if this weird industrial motor that cost me $375 can make big LS power. So step one will be fire it up and give it some revs and see how she sounds. We're getting close. We're getting close to that part. Oh, good. All right. We are really close to firing this thing up. Have a look at it. It looks fantastic. We're really close. I've got like 2 more wires to connect on the Holley under the dash, and then we should be fired up and ready to rock. It's getting really late. It's like a lose the shop situation a little bit. If we don't get this thing done and up to sloppy dudes, they're not going to tune it. So we're going to fire it up. As long as there's no leaks and it stays cool and whatever, we're going to hit the road for about an hour and then try to get this thing tuned tonight. See what happens. Let's find out. All right, 2 wires, and I'm going for it. All right, it's time. We're gonna see what this thing can do. I just gotta get the last wire on the Holley. Ugh. This thing is buzzing and beeping and making all sorts of battery dead and trying to charge it fast sounds.
This is my favorite.
Okay, we can have the hazards on or listen to it cry. Let's go hazards. You have a good connection or something?
No idea.
Something weird's happening.
You want 12 volts of juice here?
What do you mean 12 volts? We're talking amps, baby.
Okay, how many amps do you want?
You don't have it on 6 volts, right?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah, it's kind of coming alive now. Okay. We have all the fluids in. Matt sent us a tune that he thinks is going to work for a nice startup bass line. So I'm going to pull out the laptop, get on my email, and start slamming that in there. And then, Barb, you want to do the honors?
Sure.
Turn that off and back on. Pumps running. Sounds like something. All right, pedal to the floor twice, and let it all the way up, and let it all the way up. Good. Done. Successful. Looking good. Feeling good. All right, we're gonna do the link thing. All right, I went through it. It looks like everything is right in the actual configuration. So it is time.
You ready?
I'm ready. Come on. Come on. Oh, let me go rub this thing. All right, dude. Send it.
Oh,
Anything?
it made noises.
It did something. Settling in. Running.
Let's go!
66 pound oil pressure. Air fuel's at 14 flat. Perfect. All right, fire it up again, Barb. We're gonna check it for leaks. I'm trying to be. There's a lot of oil in the headers, but sounds good. I'm gonna just dip my head down. How's that sound test? Sounds pretty good so far. A lot of smells, a lot of feelings. Smells bad, feelings good. Man, we have worked our butts off this week. Put this motor in the car and get it running in basically 3 days. And here we are. All right, feels good. All right, he's getting excited. Give it a sec. Give it a minute. Woo! Cut it down. Can you spill out some oil?
That come out of the valve cover.
Let's have a look. Yeah, we got a puddle now.
Oh, the filter came off.
The filter what? As long as there's no leaks and it stays cool. All right, so we were revving it up, and it blew the oil filter off.
That's a new one.
I don't really know. Stone had checked it. We felt like it wasn't enough and put another half quart in it. I don't know that it had so much pressure it blew it to space. It didn't really seem like it. We just don't, filters should stay on there. This is a mishap. Let me see the threads in this thing. They don't look like,
That might be hot.
it's pretty warm, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Try to spin it back on.
Yeah. Let's see.
About to get that first oil change out of the way.
No.
That's weird. All right, let me see how it feels going back on. No, dude, see? It's the wrong one, I'm telling you. You hear it?
Literally pop.
Yeah, it's the one,
Out of
dude.
here.
I watched you do it, no offense, and it went up like this, and then you turn, and it did get tight, but I was...
Got tight. That's
but it doesn't-
crazy.
No,
Okay.
it's just the wrong one.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's the real deal.
Because it doesn't, you can just see. Yeah, every thread's catching. It's hard to
Truck
see,
motors
but
are different filter housings.
doesn't matter, so it's the
still
pan.
good, I guess.
Oh,
The
it's
oil
the pan.
Yeah. I asked the dude to get one for an LS1 Corvette when I was at the place.
It might be a fucked up filter because 113A is an LS filter. That's so crazy. All right, well,
Let's put it on and fire it back up.
and put some oil in it.
Yeah, that looks like about a half a quart. All right, I think we're cool.
More oil.
We're gonna scoop this up and fire it up.
Let's go.
That was exciting.
All right, we're at.
We put in 8 already.
2.5.
Basically, for the record. We have an oil cooler now and big lines, so
Yeah.
people run 7.5. I figured another half quart for the cooler will be in business.
And then load this sucker up. Well, we should fire it up again.
Yeah, you think?
We're gonna do that.
I don't want to take it to the dyno and be like, "What do you think, man?"
Yeah.
And then blow an oil filter all across the dyno. That would not be a great first impression.
No. Also, we worked real hard.
Real
this
hard on this thing.
week. That part, not so much goodness feelings.
Not so much goodness feelings.
Yeah.
You are a wordsmith, baby.
Thank you. Oh yeah. All right, that's it. That's all I want.
Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
All right.
So how much have we put in here?
Fire it up and let's let it run for a minute and check it.
2.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Yeah, make sure it's in neutral. Good.
Yep. I'm gonna find the button here.
Keep an eye on that pressure. I'm gonna raise you up a little bit. I'm gonna look at the filter.
What's up? Okay.
It's still on there.
Amazing.
Ah! Just, we're revving it up. Sounds incredible. And the tensioner went flying. The belt came off. Was that loose?
Wasn't tight.
Woo!
Okay. That's
Sometimes
not.
when you slap a car together in a couple of days.
Things happen. Oh Jesus, Lord.
What do you mean we didn't? Somebody touched it? No?
It was me.
Or we should have touched it? Or what? You had this off?
I had it. Yeah. No, that was me.
Okay. It's okay.
I'll take this one.
That's what this one's Barb.
This one's me. All right.
Is
I'm
the-
where's
okay.
the?
I'm not keeping score. It's good. We're good.
That's not how it was on there. That's crazy.
What?
Should be like this with the washer in the front.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly correct.
Okay.
We're all experts now. It is 7:40.
All All right. You want to like take it to the end of the street and back, make sure the clutch works.
I'm afraid to take it anywhere, honestly. But yeah, sure, why not?
I know you are. All right, well.
Let's get it to run on the lift for like 2 solid minutes.
With
nothing flying off and no smoke and nothing exploding, and then we'll take it up and down the street.
I like that idea.
It's a good deal. I feel like it's a good, solid deal.
You gotta start somewhere.
All right, it feels pretty good. Took it for a rip up and down the block. I'm kind of waiting for something else to blow off the side of it, but fans are running. It's got oil pressure. I don't know, man. It's about 8:20. We're about an hour from the sloppy dudes, Dyno. We're gonna hit them up, and if they're gonna let us come up tonight, we're gonna go. All right, so we just made it up here into Allentown. We're here with the sloppy mechanics dudes. We're gonna see if that industrial PSI 6-liter can indeed make a whole bunch more than 175 horsepower. I'm feeling pretty confident, as long as it doesn't explode an idler or blow the oil filter off. We should be in business. These dudes know LSs very well. Matt is gonna tune this thing. He sent us over a pretty crispy, pretty dead-on startup tune that's really happy. I became aware of these dudes from hearing about the Rowdy Dyno days many years ago, but also when we did the bone marrow setup, the 2015, the Camaro we did in 2015, which was try to go 10 seconds for 10,000 bucks. I just 100% used their turbo recipe from the pack springs to the, like, literally everything. So, and it worked out awesome. And in fact, for the record, I said, like, we gave you plenty of props in the thing, but they cut it out. It was a bummer. But yeah, so we're stoked. We're here. He's gonna get the thing fired up. He thinks it's gonna take it's 10 o'clock at night on Thursday, and in Stay Tuned style, you'll see this tomorrow.
Yep.
So we're gonna try to see what kind of power it makes. What kind of guesses?
Thinking 435.
I drove it up and down the block, and I'll tell you that it feels a lot like my LS7 car, which is insane to say out loud, but pretty good, pretty spicy. So I'm gonna say 425 at the tires.
425, 435,
440.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go 445.
45. Jeez,
All right, I'll just say 455 because everyone else is.
All right. Pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Good start. 391 wheel horsepower.
4 seconds.
Yeah, we've been here. That's a warm up. We'll take it. Made 406 at the tires.
Good curve.
Real good.
Yeah.
For a motor that, came in a generator, basically. That feels real good. All right, so it made, so far,
406,
after just the base, the second run, 406 torque at the tires. 406 horsepower, 406. It is a big, stout, meaty power band. This is awesome. Matt's gonna add a little more timing and maybe take a little bit of fuel out of it and see if it really reacts. If it doesn't, I'll probably lock it in kind of around where it is. Just keep it safe. Because I'm going to beat this thing like it owes me money. All right, so a little more timing, a little less fuel, I think, but not crazy. 417 at the tires. It likes it. It likes it. That's sick. Awesome. 417 wheel horsepower. It's pretty good for an engine that's supposed to make 175 at the crank. Feels pretty good. Yeah. If you can get your hand on one of these motors as cheap as we did, slap a cam in there and you will be off and running. You should do it. Do it. It's good. Same, 417 and a half. Same number, torque came down a hair, but might be warmed up. That's, it's making almost LS7 numbers. He said it's about 10 off.
That's
Stout.
So that was 2 more, and I went for a 12.6, and it did nothing. So
Okay.
I'll put it back, just for fun. I'll go back to 22 or 21,
Yeah.
and a 12.2, and if it makes pretty close to the same power, I might bury their fuel into like an 11.8.
Yeah.
And if it still makes 395, that's so much safer.
Yeah.
The top of the piston rings and everything will be much happier when you're doing like a Rebel or third gear burner.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It pulls pretty good too. I'm lifting at like 7,000.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat from
It looks real happy.
5 to 7.
Sounds
It's pretty flat.
awesome. Yeah, the power band is awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. Lots of torque down low. I think I'm going to throw a little bit in it down low. It doesn't seem like it. I mean, I moved the timing
bit of
down
timing?
like 4 degrees down low there.
Didn't
and
do
it's the
much.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have 12 or 10 on the hit, and it doesn't care. So at least it won't smash the top of the rod bearings.
Let's make
Probably
it
not
live.
going to be at 2,000 often.
No. It's going good.
Yeah. We don't have any Uncle Rodney hasn't visited.
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
I haven't heard a pee pedal.
Nope. Very good. All right, so Matt said it would make less. He wanted to set it up nice and safe. And you did a little less timing.
I'm playing games.
And a little fatter. It made 427 wheel horsepower. So it's wicked stout. That's killer. Yeah, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Dang, that's good. That's probably good. That's probably good there. Still on the like tame beat the out of it tune. It's 410. Yeah, awesome.
It sounds
Very
super
cool.
happy.
Yeah. So after 3 long days thrashing, we got the PSI industrial powered Corvette up here. See what kind of power it makes. Matt was crushing it on the Holley ECU, and it made happily 427 wheel horsepower out of an industrial motor that was rated at 175 horsepower that we got for $375. This is one of the all-time great triumphs that we've had. This is killer. I cannot wait to get this car on track. I guess 425, 427 feels pretty good. He took a couple degrees of timing and fattened up the fuel mixture a little bit just to keep it really safe, and then actually worked on like the idle and the tip-in and everything. This thing is fully tuned in.
410 soft.
Yeah, soft 410. Well, at the tires with 9/6-to-1 compression. So this thing is incredible. It doesn't smoke. It sounds so smooth. I'm so pumped. If you can find one of these motors, go ahead and get one. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. This is awesome, dude. Thanks for hanging out and staying late. And this thing is, I can't wait to drive it. All right, that's gonna be it for this week's episode of Stay Tuned. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go. You guys care if I just see if it works?
Yeah.
Let's see what it does.